What's up, guys? This is Seth at RVA Vapes. Today talking about the evolution of the rebuildable tank. Wanted to talk about the K-Fun and or Russian first. When I first got into vaping, everybody had a dripper, and I wanted the flavor of a dripper, but without having to drip all the time. I got into these because they offered just that. While having a bit less airflow, it still provided a lot more flavor than the other non-rebuildable tanks at the time. That is the Russian, but it's very similar to the K-Fun, which is kind of what came first, if you will. Okay, so while we covered that the K-Fun did not have the airflow that a lot of folks were looking for, me myself included, it did offer a lot of flavor, and that was really cool. It was a single coil style build, and to get more flavor and more vapor out of these, Evolution determined that the Billow and or Orchid, two different tanks but very similar in style, would come along. These guys offered a higher juice capacity, 5 mils. Also, it is dual coil specific. You have a lot more airflow, and also you'll see that the airflow is raised up from the deck to prevent leakage. That way you could space your coils right in the middle and get a huge amount of vapor with these adjustable airflow slots here. Here. You have the adjustable flathead screw, and that would close off these air holes here. And it was a little inconvenient because you needed a screwdriver, but definitely a lot more performance and flavor than the K-Fun style. Then came along the Slayer, if you will, the Goblin V1.5. This had huge juice channels, which you would not get a dry hit as much with that style as long as you wicked it correctly. Also, a lot of airflow and adjustable air down here at the base. Of course, it's not going to be open right now, but that is the huge air hole that you get. This guy had a little less juice capacity, but the ability to swap out chimneys and glass to provide more capacity. When it's like this, it is harder to show you, but you get the point and you kind of can see. All right, guys, last but not least is the Bellis. This particular RDTA has a different airflow system than all the others. Previous to this, you would either get your air from the actual 510 tube that goes up into the chamber where your wick and coil are, down and out through the bottom, or you would get it in the adjustable airflow style, or else you would get it with the adjustable airflow down at the bottom that would typically come in and go up and through the chamber and then up into the shaft. So this guy is a little different. The airflow and juice are separated, and in that the airflow comes in through the side like an RDA, which is pretty revolutionary in this particular evolution. That also gives you less leakage, which we all are happy about. Also, with this particular one, they figured out if they rifled the larger shaft to the build deck, you would get better airflow and better flavor. Even the drip tip on this guy is actually rifled. So this holds 5 mils. The juice actually extends down to the bottom of the adjustable air, which is really cool. Less exposed glass means less breakage. To actually pull out the build and not have to empty it was a big deal. I know, at least to me it was. So also with this guy, you just flip her upside down, remove this particular bottom piece, and then you just pull out the deck, and that gives you a single coil option, or if you remove the spacer, a dual coil. So just remember, in dual coil mode, it's going to use a lot more juice, and it will give you a lot more air. I feel like it's worth it, but remember, you got to pay to play with these particular guys. Huge juice channels for your wick. Just remember to trim it correctly. That means above these threads. And if you're into zippers, Claptons, Caterpillars, you've got two really oversized holes for the leads to go through and give you more options that way. Overall, build quality of this particular guy and machining is top notch. Not to say the others weren't, but this is definitely the newest and best, in my humble opinion. It's while still being fairly small and 22 millimeters around, so it'll fit on your mechanical mods and smaller boxes that are very prevalent, as well as the larger devices. The Bellis by UD, $39.99 here at RVA Vapes. Definitely my favorite and is getting the most playtime, if you will, right now. Check it out. You actually got extra glass, cotton, extra hardware. They didn't skimp out on anything, so yeah, that's the Bellis. All right, so just to wrap it up, I've got my Russian built-up single coil on this guy here, and the new Bellis built-up single coil, but with the Clapton. I want to show you how they hit, kind of give you just a quick idea of what to expect if you are to get into these, and kind of just show you. Killer flavor, don't expect a huge cloud, but definitely more capable than some of your Pro Tanks and different, S30s at the time. Let me take one more vape. Awesome, actually. Still relevant. The Bellis is going to dwarf that with its capabilities, even built up single coil with the Clapton in this case. You've got room to do it if you just space it right. We can show you that. But a lot more air. Flavor, unbelievable. RDA flavor and RDTA, rebuildable dripping tank atomizer format. Can't get enough. And of course, in dual coil mode, you're gonna double everything you just saw here. But like I said, all the flavor, all the vapor, and without any real compromise with this guy. So check those out. And hopefully you'll feel the same as I do. This is where it's at. This is the latest and greatest, guys. Awesome.